They say you don't call on Google Hangouts. You don't breathe into the mic. You don't go respond to those work emails, and you don't mess around with shit. I do but I deep 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 deep.
You can tell I've only ever plucked guitar strings and never actually played it. Jeff is in the back.
You can play. I've seen you play bass.
Bass is a lot different. We've got one person in the back already mocking my air guitar skills. It's different when it's an acoustic guitar, okay? Well, I mean, hey guys, we're back for another episode of the Turntable, episode 17. This one's going to be, I think this one's going to get spicy.
This one is going to get spicy, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm afraid to even show my face because of the takes that I'm going to have.
Oh, dear. Flamenco, bitch. Shut up. To the person who put that in our chat. Yeah, so this is going to be one where you're going to want to listen to a lot of these guys. Stay tuned for the whole episode. But let's bring our panel in. We got a couple of our favorite people here, starting with Adelaide Spence. Adelaide, how you doing?
I am so worried, more than normal. This is... I don't watch every episode, but this feels like maybe the most eclectic group. And I feel like I am going to suffer a brunt of the opinions today.
I don't know. We'll see. You brought what Brooklyn and I probably deemed as the internet's favorite album. So let's see if we piss off the internet. Yeah. Then we're going to bring on our good friend, the host of the top 100 hip hop songs of all time, Amaru Moses. How you doing, buddy?
Good. It feels like it's been forever since I've been on this. It's just weird because I am your unofficial third co-host most of the time. So it's good to be back. Did you listen to the album already?
Yes, I did.
Okay, good. I'm saying that just preemptively before you forget to ask everybody who's heard this album before we get started.
Screw you. Real quick, because I forgot to ask, Adelaide, what did you bring to the table?
I brought Preacher's Daughter by Ethel Cain. I picked the gay one.
Amaru, what did you bring?
I brought the Forever Story by, I'm going to call him J.I.D. He goes by J.I.D., but I'm going to say J.I.D. from here on out. J.I.D.
And then let's bring on the person who's making fun of my air flamenco guitar skills. What Jeff are you, Big Papa? Hey.
I mean, plucking guitar strings as flamenco style is literally just using your fingers. I mean, we can give you a pass on that one, but always a good time being on this show. And yes, I think this is definitely one of the most eclectic groupings of albums you could ask for. We go from some really mellow stuff to stuff that just gonna make your mom mad that you're listening to. So I think it's gonna be a good time.
Yeah, Jeff, what album could you possibly be talking about?
I brought in the oldest album of tonight's show, and we're gonna go into your mom's least favorite artist in Marilyn Manson. We're gonna listen to Hollywood tonight.
All right, Brooklyn, what did you bring?
I gotta keep with the times. I gotta keep with the what's the caricature? No, the stereotypes. Yeah, Canadian album. So we're going with Matt Andersen and his album Honest Man.
And I picked a little album that your mother probably loves called Sex, Death, and the Infinite Void by Creeper. But that's not what we're starting with. We're starting with Adelaide. Adelaide, tell us a little bit more about your album, Preacher's Daughter.
Oh, shit. I should probably do more research. I will say I came upon Ethel Cain, and I think it's a lot of my friends just being like, oh, hey, there's this artist. She has really incredible storytelling. I was introduced to her through I think her biggest song probably is oh my
American
God, my
Teenager.
Fucking fried today. Yes, thank you. As well as everyone being like, oh my God, Sun Bleached Flies is one of the most heartbreaking songs of all time. So I'm like, okay, book ending. Maybe let me commit to it. And I didn't I liked it. I didn't really connect with it the way that everyone else did. And then I talked to a really good friend of mine who was like, oh no, you need to like sit with it. You need to think about it. You need to analyze it, everything. So I gave it a re-listen with, I don't know if there's gonna be like a link or anything, but like there's a really good article that breaks it down from the Junction Journal, basically going into the story that Ethel Cain is telling through the album about like this fictional version of herself, who is like the titular preacher's daughter, going through different relationships, eventually meeting a new boyfriend as she like trends towards the bad boys, who kills her and eats her, and then you see her descent into hell and then into the afterlife and reflecting on her life and her connection to religion, which I don't connect with music in that sense. To me, it's very like vibes forward, like how it makes me feel. It's hard to really find an album that I think tells a story that well that I keep wanting to come back to. So that, with how fucking weird and intense the story is, I think the fact that it works makes it like a really strong personal connection. And I wanted to share the story with y'all. However, it sounds like nobody really read into it.
I kind of picked up on it a little bit, at least. I don't think I got the whole story, but that's kind of what I was, getting as I was listening to it. I dig this. I like this album. I don't quite love it, mostly because I hate the production on her vocals.
I feel like you said that every time I bring an album, it's, well, the production is the problem. It's mixed weird.
I know, but the reverb on her voice is just so thick and so heavy that it actively makes it kind of hard for me to like thoroughly love this album. And so this album reminded me of two things. One is Lana Del Rey. Like the production style on the vocals in particular gives me that like that vibe. The heavy reverb, that kind of sounds like it's coming from like an old 50s radio in a sense. And the other thing, and I'm going to piss off some people watching this, maybe even Brooklyn, but we'll see. The other thing that this album reminds me a lot of is Bruce Springsteen's Nebraska.
Why? Why did you have to bring him in? We've been doing so well to not have him involved. So I thought that you thought I was going to get pissed off because you mentioned Lana Del Rey, and I was like, oh, actually, I was going to say that as well, but you just had to bring him in here. No, why?
What is the big Canadian boss man's beef with the man?
Bruce Springsteen is way overrated. In my opinion, that's for another day.
So let me tell you why. So Bruce Springsteen's Nebraska is a very intimate album with very detailed and layered storytelling. Like it sounds like you're in the room with him. And aside from maybe 2 or 3 songs, that's how this album feels to me. It's sort of like you're in the room with Ethel Cain as they're performing. And it's deeply rich and intimate because of that. And the storytelling from things like A House in Nebraska and Thoroughfare, Sun Bleached Flies, it's kind of got that rich Americana texture that just really sets the world. And so, yeah, no, I think that it's a little long for me, not gonna lie. I think there's a lot of songs that are like 6 to 7 minutes long on here.
Yeah,
so that's gonna happen.
That's her vibe. I don't know if you've listened to her new album, Perverts. It is like 10 tracks, but each one is at least like 12 minutes.
Oh yeah, no, I heard it's an EP that's longer than an hour. So, Yeah, so I dig this album, even though I don't necessarily love it.
I'll go next. I really like this album. I think this is very neat. I think this is like has sort of a niche setting. I found the best times to listen to it were like Friday, Saturday nights after work, like 2, 3 in the morning, or like earlier today. Like I was putting my son to bed and he wasn't starting to settle down, so I started to throw this on, and like it started to work. I get what Andrew was saying about the reverb. Isn't much, kind of, but I also think that's kind of like it fits for the sound that she's going for. I agree with Andrew that it reminds a lot of Lana Del Rey. The other two people that I thought it reminded me of was like Taylor Swift and Pink Floyd. There's a lot of like experimental kind of like letting sounds sort of breathe and kind of like giving things time. I think the second half of this album is the better half. It kind of there's some differences in songs, and especially when you get to like I think Thoroughfare is kind of that turning point, and then Gibson Girl is just a nice like heavy sort of guitar sound. I really dug American Teenager. Family Tree was fun. My gripe though, and with this album being an hour long, it doesn't feel that long, but where I notice it is at the start and the end. It's often like a good like 10-15 seconds of like, all right, we're gonna wait to like kind of get into the intro, and then I found like a lot of songs had like at least like 20 to 30 seconds of just dead air. So I feel like it could have been trimmed to like maybe get it down under an hour, but otherwise I also had a really good time.
I will say, I think the double header of August Underground and Televangelism just like really draws it out.
So good though, so good.
Oh no, it's great, it's necessary, but holy shit! Like I think that's where I feel like the album is just sitting there for like 8 minutes, just like okay, this is noise. This is great.
All right,
Go ahead, Rue. Or do you want
I have not heard this album before, by the way.
God dang it!
I just made that joke, but it's okay. Has anybody else heard this album before?
I've heard songs, not the entire album.
Never heard of this album before up until it was recommended for this show. So
yes, when you all talked about how eclectic this group of albums were, I laughed because I listened to every single one while at Planet Fitness working out. And it was weird.
MO, isn't it? You're usually looking at this like to work out with, and if this is going to give you a good pump or not.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm doing.
I just really hope you were doing squats and just crying your eyes out to the end of the album. I think
I'm pretty sure I was doing squats while listening to this one.
Just as Ptolemaea starts the screaming.
Yeah. That's when I have the most time, or at least I feel like I have the most time on summer break when I have nothing to do. That's when I listen to it. But I vibe with this album. It was pretty good. Since we're doing comparisons, I had a very quick comparison, and I was like, it's mixed with something. So, Bar, I appreciate you bringing up Lana Del Rey because that's probably better than the Billie Eilish I was gonna say. But that was like the breathy voice. What it really reminded me of, though, I like this group better than I like Ethel Cain, but it gave me Florence and the Machine vibes. Florence and the Machine, a lot more ethereal, but the like the same kind of runs that Florence has, same kind of like I guess vocal tenor or tone or whatever. See, I'm trying to sound smart like y'all three. I have no idea what the fuck I'm talking about, honestly.
You're fine.
But anyway,
don't worry about it.
But like it reminded me a lot of that. And I was like, it's Florence and somebody, and I had Billy in my head. But I think Lana Del Rey is a little bit more.
Especially with American Teenager, I can see where the Billy comes in.
Yeah,
like that song in particular.
Yeah, I'm 100% with y'all though on the length of some of these songs because wow, man, I was like, all right, okay, can we move on to something else? And I think would be the other thing about this album, even though I did like it, I like her sound. I like how she sings. I really like the storytelling. Storytelling is really, really cool. One thing though is this album kind of sounds the same from front to back to me. Like I cannot like maybe there's a song or two that is completely different, but like I could not tell you what part of the album I'm at certain points, except for honestly the one that stuck out to me as feeling a little different, even though the same, was Gibson Girl. Gibson Girl to me was like, ooh, this is a kind of different vibe than what I'm hearing. Also, Sex. So that also stuck out in that damn song a lot. Which I was like, wait
There's
a
a
second.
lot of sex in this episode. It's weird.
Yeah, I was like, this sounds weird, and then I ran it back one more time. I was like, oh no, she's been talking about that earlier. Never fucking mind. But that, like just the vibe from front to back, I was like, okay, yeah, like this sounds a lot like the first song, and this sounds like a lot like the last song. Just different versions or variations of the same. And when I say the same mood throughout. Like I was like, all right, give me something. I guess American Teenager might be the most different. After that, it went all to like the
Downer,
the moody,
Dirge.
I'm not folk, but like low key emo, but not really emo. Just like
Heartland emo.
Heartland sad girl,
American Gothic emo.
Yeah, there it
all
is.
that all the way through, no matter where she went. So like, again, I enjoyed this album. I enjoyed this.
All right, so it is on record, especially if you go back to the first episode I was on when we had Samia's album. These kind of singers really leave a bad taste in my mouth. So these like cat like singers, so So I went into this album thinking, I'm like, okay, let's kind of get ready. Adelaide, you shocked me. I was shocked how much I enjoyed this album. I was shocked how much I have my notes and like I go track by track, and like I think by the fourth track, I think I go again. Do I like this album? Like, exclamation point, question mark. Like am I liking this? And I'm like, because what I like with it is she's showing that she can sing. You can hear that there is definite talent in there, and the storytelling with the lyrics. That is one of the big things I'm going to talk about a lot with pretty much all these albums tonight. The lyrics from everybody tonight, I think, are incredible. I'll say, and Ethel Cain really does paint a really interesting picture, especially because this is a concept album. It's really interesting storytelling. Like I think, what was it? I think it was, I wrote it down for Family Tree. The one verse, I've killed before and I'll kill again. Take the noose off, wrap it tight around my hand. They say heaven hath no fury, like a woman scorned, and baby, hell don't scare me. I've been there times before. That's like, damn. That's like a, but everybody's doing the comparisons tonight. I'll say one, I was kind of shocked no one ever did. Dolores O'Riordan from the Cranberries, I got a lot with some of these songs, like I kind like, like how when she got into like the higher pitch range, I was like, wow, like we're kind of getting into like Cranberry kind of vibes. Like I definitely like, and I like the Southern styles, like the what was it, Western Nights had like that slide guitar intro. I thought that was really nice. Hard Times had a really good 6/8 drum pattern going on. Gibson Girl, I thought, was one of the big highlights of the album. But I do agree, like August Underground, Televangelism, when you have 6 minutes of just instrumental interlude, it takes you out of it a little bit, because it's like you need to kind of have like one interlude, and that's all you need. And putting it toward the end was just kind of like you're taking me out of it. But then it really brought it back in with Sun Bleached Flies and Strangers, and I thought it really capped off the album really nicely. So I got to give respect. I like this album a lot more than what I was expecting to, and I won't say it fully changed my perspective on these singers, but it gives me hope. And people like Ethel Cain give me hope.
Jeff, I will say,
when I was
like, take the happiness. Do not listen to Perverts. It will validate everyone.
I mean with an album named Perverts, I'm gonna think twice maybe.
Jeff, once you got to me and I was saying my comparisons, you should have known that I wasn't going to bring that up, because you said that person's name and I immediately became the Snoop Dogg. Who? So, yeah.
But then I mentioned Cranberries. Okay.
No.
Okay.
See,
Zombie.
I now want to hear the Ethel Cain version of Linger. Like, I think that would be such.
It is going to have 5 minutes of droning organ before we get into the actual.
All right. Any last thoughts on this album before we get to scores and all that stuff?
I do want to bring up in case anyone who didn't like do the preliminary research. So this is, I think, a beginning of her like core set of concept albums. Her next one is called Willoughby Tucker, I'll Always Love You, written in the perspective of her first boyfriend, Willoughby Tucker, coming out in like a month, whenever this drops or whatever. So this will keep going. I think the last one's supposed to be like about her dad or maybe her mom. I don't know. She has a whole vision going where she has like in character Ethel Cain and then like regular musician Ethel Cain. Like her is unconnected. It's wild, and I love doing the research. I have no idea what she's gonna fucking do next. If I get this, it starts beautiful with like, and I'll go into it later. Like to me, a perfect pop song, and ends with cannibalism and literally watching Urge from Heaven. Insane. How the fuck does someone do that? And like, okay, we have 3 more.
So that answered my question that it had nothing to do with John Tucker Must Die. Okay, cool.
I'm glad you said that because I know everyone here was thinking that.
Everyone watching was thinking it too.
Yeah. All right, Adelaide, what's your score, your favorite song, and your least favorite song?
Shit. I gave this. Where are you? I give it a 9.2. Obviously, it's my album. I do think that it's really strong. I don't agree with all the comparisons that it is like very like samey sounding. I do think it has a really good like ebb and flow of tone and in the storytelling and the lyrics. I think American Teenager is like one of those hallmark like if you are teaching pop songwriting, I think there is like the obvious like the Katy Perry Taylor Swift like here's how you get like a good hook. I think if you're trying to elevate it, I think American Teenager is the bar. You teach that and you run with it. I think it's perfection. I think August Underground is my least favorite. Not that it's necessarily bad. I just don't love purely instrumental tracks, and I think that's just like the less interesting one for me. But it could genuinely be either that or Television. Like both of them are just kind of in the same spot for me.
I will go next. I'm giving this album a 7.5. I do kind of agree with some of the same tone through some of it, but I do think towards the second half of the album it does vary a little bit more, which is why I'm giving Western Nights my least favorite, because being immediately after A House in Nebraska, I think that kind of just hurt it, and it's the one that sticks with me the least. My favorite song, American Teenager, is really good, but honestly, when you compare it to Strangers and Sun-Bleached Flies, and especially my favorite one being Thoroughfare, because the storytelling in that one just really resonated with me. So yeah, a very good album. Let's go to Brooklyn next.
All right. I'm gonna give this a 9.1. I could see this growing on me. Although I do think it is for a niche setting. I think that niche setting is really good. And I did appreciate the storytelling that was going on with it. My favorite is a toss up between Ptolemy and Sun-Bleached Flies. Or Sun-Bleached Flies rather. I think I'm gonna go with Sun-Bleached Flies, even though I think like Ptolemy is obviously like the climax, and that's where you kind of get to know what the album is about. Like initially we listening to it, it's like, oh, this is okay. It's definitely about abuse, but then it took me like reading the doc to be like, oh, it's about cannibalism, which is like completely threw me off guard. With Sun-Bleached Flies, the sax solo. Either a sax solo or it's like a synth that's kind of tuned to a sax that I really dug. But the thing that I think keeps this album fresh for me, and Jeff will understand what I mean, and Andrew will, I think, will as well, is when they are putting the drums in the mix, it has this like arena rock sort of sound, like especially when they're hitting the snare. It just sounds very open, and I think it just kind of keeps things fresh when you go to re-listen to it. And that's where I notice that the most. My least favorite is probably going to be, I'm going to say A House in Nebraska. I think just because it's in between American Teenagers and Western Nights, and that's where I understand the argument of it kind of sounds the same. But otherwise else, like, I think this is really good, and I think it's going to grow.
Let's go to Amaru.
I am also giving this a 7.5. Like I said, I enjoyed her sound. Even though, like I said, I was the one who brought up like the mood sounds the same. It's a mood I can listen to. Florence is one of my favorite. You call her alternative, but they're one of my favorite groups. They are. And again, they reminded me of her. And I mean, she reminded me of them a lot. My least favorite song. I chose not to include the instrumentals just because I kind of thought it was like it's easy to pick those, but I'm not too far off Talamia because it's right before it and it's damn near instrumental into like the middle. And I'm like, all right, let's hurry the fuck up, get going. So
yeah, very
I wasn't
mantra-esque.
Yeah. I wasn't. It's not the same thing, but you just reminded me. I wasn't trying to listen to like throat singing from Dune Part 2. So like it's nowhere near the same. But you said mantra, and that's what I heard or thought. My favorite. I'll do this. I have two songs that were fighting for favorites, but weirdly at the same time, I was asking, are these my least favorites? Because aspects of it. So not my favorite, but Gibson Girl. Like I said, it was the swerve to me while I was listening. And I was like, wow, I really like the song. But then the way, like, again, the sex punched through a lot harder than everything else. And I was like, where the fuck is this coming from? And then again, I leaned into it and I listened more and I was like, no, okay, this is really cool. But I'm also picking Thoroughfare, even though it's fucking 9 minutes long. Like, I was like, whoo, come on. But the storytelling was that damn good. And I enjoyed listening to the ride that much, even if by like minute 7, I was like, how much longer I got in the story? Shit. So yeah.
All right, Jeff, close us out.
I'm going to shock y'all. This gets an 8 out of 10. I would say I am shocked I'm even giving this an 8 out of 10, but you know, I loved the atmosphere the whole album created. I like it was very ethereal. It was very raw, and the lyrics were just very honest and emotional. I loved it a lot. Favorite song was definitely Gibson Girl for me. I thought that was probably like the one that really like drove home. I love how, like, you know, you had different instrumentals dropping in and out and then coming back in. It definitely made it the most compositionally interesting song. Worst, I was like, I didn't want to put the instrumentals in just because, again, it's too unfair. I was back and forth. I was like, Dalamia was definitely one for me, but I'm probably in the minority. I was not a fan of Thoroughfare, even though the lyrics on it were really strong. It just took way too long to get going, and like I'm just sitting there, I'm like, come on, let's go. And then by the time you finally did, it was like we're at the 6-minute mark, and you're just gonna drone on for the last 3. It's like I don't know about this one, but again, this was a shocking album for me. So.
Speaking of shocking albums, Jeff, tell us about
the score. The score.
Oh, yes, the overall score, Brooklyn.
Gets an average score of 8.26. Currently sits in the top 10 for this season.
Nice.
Is it top 5?
No, top 10.
Fuck.
Literally number 10.
Fuck.
Well, I mean, considering some of the albums that are in the top 5 are like Rumors and Bat Out of Hell, then
had you gotten
like
0.008 more, you could have passed Jeff's previous album, Mission Bell.
I'll take top 10. I like it.
All right. Well, I mean, you think you're gonna get top 10 with Hollywood?
I don't think so, but so here was the main reason I wanted to talk about this one, because I was between 2 albums. I still might talk about the other one at a later point, so stay tuned on that one. But there was a reason I kind of wanted to go towards Hollywood with this, you know, for tonight. Not just because I think Marilyn Manson really is kind of like an underrated, like one of the last true great shock rockers. Like, we have not had somebody like him since like Alice Cooper, Ozzy Osbourne. Like, when was the last true great shock rocker? I think Marilyn Manson was really one of the last truly like poignant ones, you know, and it's for reasons why, you know. I was like, what's interesting is with, you know, when he came onto the scene, like, you know, you had a Portrait of an American Family, and then you had Antichrist Superstar, which was the quote beginning of a 3-album concept out like story. It was actually the ending of the story. Then came Mechanical Animals in 98, and then you had Hollywood, which is actually the beginning of the whole story and how it said it. But what's most interesting about this album is that this was the first album to come out post Columbine, with the Columbine tragedy that happened, and Manson was painted in a very negative light because they said that, the shooters were listening to his music and they relied heavily on him. So Manson was sort of like a pariah in the media for a long time, thinking that like he was the main cause of violence and all these bad thoughts with people. And he's like, I didn't tell them to do anything. I didn't, and that's like a whole political argument for another day. So he took everything with this and how the media slandered him and basically said, you know what? This is an act of war in my eyes. You want something to talk about? Let's talk about something. So that was his whole mission with this album, was he wanted to give people you want to paint me as something that I am not. But here's an album for you, and take it for what it is. It started immediately with the album cover. They wanted to censor the album cover, and he's like, you are feeding into exactly what I was trying to fight against. If you look at the album cover, he's like, they basically took my jaw off, and so I can't speak what I want to say. You're doing exactly that. You are basically hypocrites and trying to paint me in a negative light and not letting me be free of speech. And the whole album is just that, how the media wants to slam anything negative that can happen and look for somebody to blame and be a scapegoat. And the album just shows so many instances of that, while also telling a greater narrative story. But I think where he really does hit the nail on the head is with all of like the tags at the media. So songs like the fight song was definitely a big one. Target audience is really one that tackles everybody. The nobodies, talking about what it means, for like statistics and things like that, and how we all want to be known as somebody at the end of the day. And then, because the one line, some children died the other day. We fed machine and then we prayed, puked up and down in morbid faith. You should have seen the ratings that day. It's all based off of what the media is going to look at. And it's the same with the fight song. But this was Manson going back to his true roots back when he was in Florida. He took a lot of his upbringing from being heavily religious and twisted it into his own narrative in a way where it's like, you listen to it and you're like, wow, he might be a little more knowledgeable than we think. And then you have some incredible guitar work from John 5. You have some just droning sounds in here. It's really raw. It's really just in your face, aggressive. And it was the perfect, like, fuck you to the media. And that's where it's kind of like, you know what? This album, I think, is way better than Antichrist Superstar. It's better than Mechanical Animals because it showed that he wanted to say something. And that's where I feel like those albums are the most interesting to talk about. So that was half a reason why I picked it. So hope y'all had fun listening to it.
Who wants to start? Okay.
You're muted, Brooklyn.
Muted.
There we go.
I love the very clear, oh, fuck, and then immediately try to stop.
So, like any child of the 2000s, my parents were like, hey, probably shouldn't listen to Marilyn Manson. So this is my first time, like, really kind of like disobeying my parents and listening to this. Yeah, I was like, I was cautious, I guess, or like kind of nervous because I wasn't really sure what to expect, just based off of like hearsay of like what I heard from the media. I talked to a friend from work about it. I was like, hey, I'm like listening to this album for the show, and he's like, oh, you got probably their best album. And I was like, okay, that's good. I was expecting this to be a lot harder. It's not as hard. It's like I was expecting it to be more heavy metal and more, I guess, like more power metal or death metal. And it's not. It's like hard rock, but there's like thrash as well. There's like a little bit of gent, but there isn't a ton of it. And I did enjoy aspects of it. I definitely got a sense of like kind of his upbringing and just kind of the anger that he has towards like religion and sort of the right wing thing. There is one song that I thought was really kind of like kind of pointing the mirror back at like a certain organization. But what else is here? Disposable Teens, I thought was a really good one. Like the influences that I kind of got on this, on that one in particular, a lot of like Lou Reed or like Velvet Underground, where it's like it's not so much about the vocal performance, but like the message that you're just kind of trying to give. I thought President Dead was about President Bush, but then I realized this came out in 2000 because it sounds like what Green
You
Day
would
was
think,
kind of
yeah, exactly.
yeah, it sounds like what Green Day was complaining about Bush at the time, but I guess it would have been Clinton, or I guess Bush would have gotten just elected at that time. This came out in November of 2000.
It's in the middle. It would be in the middle of the recount bullshit.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that was a good time.
Yeah.
From a musical perspective, what I really enjoyed, that I think he does quite well, in pop and I guess like rock in general, it's kind of about how quick you can get to the chorus. With Marilyn, it's a lot of like, all right, let's kind of establish a tone in the verse, not necessarily revealing that initial groove, but it's in between that verse and the first chorus. That's when he gets like that really catchy groove. He kind of establishes it in between there and then gets into the chorus. So I thought that was kind of like an interesting way to pace it. I hadn't really noticed that with like any other artist that we had done for the show. The Nobodies I kind of found as the heavier song. That was the most metal of any of the songs we talked about. Death Song was really groovy. Burning Flag was very sort of thrash. That was kind of the quicker one. I think it kind of fell off near the last three tracks. And yeah, there are some moments where it gets a little bit creepy. But yeah, it went better than I expected.
All right, I could deal with that.
Go ahead, Adelaide. Go.
I'm gonna cut it very short. I hated this, like, deeply. I do think part of it coming in is like, who I know Marilyn Manson as, not in the devil worship way, but in the court documents kind of way.
Yes.
So I'm a little biased.
Yeah.
And I also just really hate the genre. Like, I will agree with Brooklyn. It's not as heavy as I expected. I think like the back half of the album, I kind of got more. And I loved what you added, like the perspective of everything. I was like, okay, this is actually really interesting. I love like the perspective because like I knew nothing about them other than he sucked his own dick. Like that is literally my bar for Marilyn Manson. So you get going into the culture of it rather than him just being like a shock jock. It's like, okay, I love the education, but I fucking hated the album. Like it is so anti-me. I think that there is basically nothing I connected with. When the lyrics weren't unintelligible through him fucking screaming, I just couldn't. I couldn't comprehend it. I think I probably would have been a better guest for the show if I was like reading the lyrics during the whole thing. But I was so thoroughly disconnected, but not in the way of apathy. Like I was just deeply displeased. And I wish it could be like the more like the Midwest mom of like, this raising the devil, protect the kids. But no, I just like I've been to a Metallica concert. It can be fun. This is not it for me whatsoever.
I gotta respect it.
I'll say I had an interesting leg day that day because the beginning of leg day was Ethel Cain and the end of leg day was this. So it was a very interesting day at the gym, and I was around. Columbine and Maryland was part of my childhood, and being a school teacher today and thinking about how much of a shock that was, and now how much of I practice this once a fucking month every month. So like, anyway, that's a whole other thing that I live through now, that we all live through. And this was a solid album. Like, I was not censored as a child. If I listened to this music, I could have listened to him back then. And going into it, the only thing I know from Marilyn Manson is his cameo in the Way I Am video and Beautiful People, just because not my music genre I really listen to, but it was what I expected from Marilyn, saying like, oh, I'll finally listen to an album. It is exactly what I expected. Like once the political lyricism came in, I was like, yep, this is it. And when it comes to listening to rock and the different variations of genre, I lean a little bit towards what Adelaide says. I'm like, I'm not the screaming and stuff, not sure what you're saying, but I can kind of sift through it. I listen to the music. And I dig a lot of the metal production. And I'm going to also agree with Brooklyn. As it slowed down, that's when I started to be like, all right, come on, let's get it. So like the length of the album also got to me a bit. but like it reminded me of why I love
songs. Like holy shit.
Yeah, it was very long. But it like the groove of some of the beats, the rhythm of some of it reminded me of why I love oh my god, Korn's like most famous song.
Freak on a Leash.
Yes, I fucking love Freak on a Leash. Freak on a Leash is so fucking good. And some of this reminded me of like, this is why I love Freak on a Leash so much with the production. So solid album. I'm not gonna listen to it again, but like I didn't hate it. So
this album, it's just not for me. Like there are things that I respect about it. I really respect the instrumentation on this album. Like musically speaking, it's good. It's very good. And I respect the reasoning behind this album. I'm just not into this kind of level of shock. Like Alice Cooper and Ozzy Osbourne could, get extremely dark with their lyrics, but it hits a little bit differently for me. Whereas this one, it's sort of like shocking in a way that it's not. It's more like it gets under your skin and it kind of like immediately after it's already in there, kind of gets its claws into you. And I'm just, it's not for me. Plus, industrial style rock is not a subgenre that I can really get into. Like, I really like Nine Inch Nails, but they're kind of the only industrial like style of rock and metal and production that I kind of like. It's just a very anti-bar album, even though I can understand why people are drawn to it, why it's as respected as it is. It is also too damn long. I got halfway through the album and I was like, okay, there's probably like 4 songs left, right? And I looked and I remember being in my car and just being like, are you fucking kidding me? I immediately messaged Brooklyn after that. I was like, I don't know if I can do this anymore. So like, yeah, that kind of level of shock just doesn't work for me. But I get it.
You forgot to mention how you tried to pull the cop out in the chat. Look, Jeff, it's not available on Spotify anymore. I can't listen to it anymore.
No, legitimately, it was a weird glitch that like only half of the songs became playable, and then like after I, like got out of it and then got back in, everything.
A little behind the scenes, but it cracked me up though.
I
said that.
I swear to God, it was actually a glitch, but it was a glitch where I was like, "Oh, good, we got an excuse, baby."
Jeff, I'll give you this, even though it was very long, and I was like, man, it didn't get to Hades Town level where I was ready to just freaking die with how long that fucking album was.
Yeah, so Brooklyn and I made an agreement. We're vetoing albums that are like that long again.
Yeah, I remember you told me that.
Would you to Preacher's Daughter
musicals in general?
What was that, Adelaide?
Would you to Preacher's Daughter next? And like, what's the limit on album length that you have a problem with?
Oh, probably like hour and a half to 2.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
hour and a half would be like the absolute
Double albums
longest.
will probably be kind of difficult.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So if for anybody playing along at home, of the 5 albums that we were talking about today, 2 of them are like around half an hour, 40 minutes. The other 3 are like an hour plus.
Yeah.
So, Pervert by Ethel Cain, 9 songs, an hour and a half flat. So
Nope.
King Diamond album.
All right.
Freaking
So,
Crimson.
Jeff, if no one else has any last words, okay. Had anyone heard this album before? Yeah, I didn't think so. Jeff,
Yeah.
score Favorite and least favorite.
I'm gonna probably be the outlier here. This gets a 9 out of 10 from me. I mean, like this was just like one of those albums, like for me, that it was just it's like comparing it to like I was like I could have been really meaning made you guys listen to Antichrist Superstar, which is like wow with some of the stuff he says in there. So I think this was definitely the more approachable. But there with this album, there is definitely like it goes and then it kind of dips a bit. But then it goes back up a little bit and then it kind of dips a little bit then. But for me, the favorite song was Target Audience. That was probably like the one I thought for me, I was like, it showed the range of what he can be in terms of a musician. And it showed a lot of interesting wordplay, a lot of interesting lyrics with it. And the guitar work, excellent on that one. Least favorite song, this was an easy one for me. It's King Kill 33. It's like there's so much overdubbing on the vocals where it's kind of unintelligible. And it's like, I think this is just a mishmash song that it's like, especially toward the end, I'm like, all right, we can wrap this one up now. So, but overall though, I was like, I always, the main reason I wanted to pick this album was I wanted to hear people's opinions. I didn't care if it was going to be a high rated album. I want to hear opinions because dissension is sometimes the most interesting thing, and I wanted to be the outlier because I've been in a weird spot lately. So,
yeah,
have some fun.
I respect that honestly. For everyone in the music league, I picked the song that I picked last time because of the same reason. I was like, I don't fucking care. People are just gonna hate this. I don't care. So originally, because it's just such an anti-bar album, but I respected it. I had it at a 5. Then we got a little bit more into the backstory, and I'm going to give it a 5.25.
I'll take the quarter. Go for it.
Yeah, just because I kind of respect the backstory behind it, oddly enough. My favorite's the love song. That one, I remember when I first started listening to the album and I heard that one and I was like, okay, I can actually get into this. See, what I want to say for my least favorite is Crucifixion in Space, but Coma Black has a line in it that kind of crosses my line personally. So it's just my least favorite solely because of that one line. I would like never listen to that song again because of how uncomfortable I am with that particular line. Let's go to Adelaide next.
I'm gonna research this now because I will say it's not my pick. It was on my short list of favorite songs. But again, I didn't hear the fucking lyrics. My favorite is Crucifixion in Space. Again, I think that when it slows down and I can kind of like get with the rhythm of the song, I'm like, okay, like this is tolerable. My least favorite is the love song because it's a lot of fucking screaming and really heavy instrumental, and none of that shit's for me. I gave it a 3.8. It's one of those things where I don't listen to music that I objectively dislike, so I didn't know how to rate it. And I was like, God, how like low do I go? I feel more stable with my rating after the backstory. Like I do think that I really love the angle that you presented me with and like the information that you gave. That being said,
I'm the used car salesman of the music area.
I will.
You see this Pinto? It's Chip, and I'll tell you a story about it.
All right, Brooklyn.
All right, I'm gonna give this a 6.67.
I thought you were God damn it!
Yeah. I appreciate it instrumentally. Lyrics are like sometimes maybe good, sometimes maybe shit. My favorite is going to be the love song. My favorite chorus of the entire album, and that's the moment that I was referring to, where it kind of like was like shining a light on the organization, particularly the NRA. It's like, do you love your guns? Yeah, boom. And I love that groove. Very breakdowny. And Jeff knows that I'm a sucker for breakdowns. My least favorite, honorable mention to In the Shadow of the Valley of the Death. That's where it started to get creepy. But Count to 6 and Die, the closer, is my least favorite, purely for how it ends. It's reminiscent of a certain version of roulette belonging to a certain country. And that's when I was like, okay, if my son ever gets access to this, I'm making sure that he does not listen to this until he's 18. And I understand why parents got mad with this. It was like, why? Like, why do we have to have this here? We were doing like some interesting things lyrically, and we had to end with that.
All right, Rue.
I'm giving it a 7. It's solid. It's kind of what I expected from Marilyn. I grew up listening to whatever the fuck I wanted to. I got no problems with people saying what they saying, why they want to say it. If I don't like it, I won't listen to it. I don't listen to it just because not my genre of music for the most part to like listen to over and over again. I'm gonna say my least favorite. I will be honest, like the last 4 or 5 songs are all there. I'm just gonna stick with the one that stuck out the most when I was like, okay, you're slowing way too down for me to listen to this, and it was The Fall of Adam. That's just the one I remember where I was like, okay, what is this? I'm ready for this to go. The one that I immediately just headbanger, just let's go, Burning Flag. That instrumental came in, and I was just like, fuck yeah, let's do this. Leg Day got a lot more easier at that.
All right, so Brooklyn, what does that bring the score up to?
Average score of 6.344. Not the worst album from this season, but it is in the bottom 5.
Wow. All right. I'll take in the top and I'll take in the bottom. I love it.
What is the worst?
The worst is Gravity by Our Lady Peace.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Sorry about that one. All right. So we're going to go to Amaru next. Rue, tell us more about The Forever Story by J.I.D.
So, Bar, about how many times have I been on the show?
This is probably your 5th or 6th time.
Maybe. Okay, I thought it was 5th. So 5th. I bring that up because I don't listen to most hip hop and R&B of today. I just don't. I don't like. It kind of sounds very similar and 5th. And I'm not a fan of the lyrics. I'm not a fan of the sound for the most part. I don't shit on it that much, though. If I get in arguments with my students, and I just have to be like, you know what, I need to stop talking to you because you're fucking idiotic. I bring that up to say this is the most recent album I have brought because J.I.D is that one. He is the guy to me. This dude, it raps his fucking ass off. Like this is maybe like his 3rd album, maybe a 2nd official one, but between like DiCaprio 2, and the Never Story before this, he is a guy that is just, he doesn't sound like he came from the 90s and 2000s. He sounds of this era, but he has his influences. He mixes like a lot of the sounds of today of people would use with just pure fucking skill. One thing I love about him, not only is he like his great use of alliteration, his great use of rhyme pattern and rhyme scheme, like the way he can fucking put words together is crazy, but very, very similar to Kendrick, but not like Kendrick at all. His voice is an instrument, an utter fucking instrument. The way that he messes with tenor and tone, and probably the best use of flow that I have heard in a long, long time. You know how Kendrick can slow it down, speed it up. J.I.D like slows it down, speeds it up, blows it up, makes it really tiny. And with The Forever Story, what I really love about this album is that like he breaks it up into sections to show his utter range. Like you get into those first sections, Radar, Crack Sandwich, Dance Now, especially Dance Now. Just like the way he uses the gravelly voice in the chorus to kind of just like, I'm gonna get into how I can go bar for bar with anybody. And there's a specific bar that I really liked, but I don't usually take notes, so I forgot what it was. But whatever, I'll let y'all bring up what y'all found. And then like we brought up Bar, you brought up how Miss Fat Booty is not in the top 100.
I was gonna bring this up too.
Yeah, the use of samples he does, coming with surround sound and making me like Though 21 Savage isn't like the worst, but Making Me Like a 21 Savage verse.
It's the most personality he's ever had on a track.
Yeah, and his use, he does this a lot. His use of beat switches in songs to fit two songs into one. He does it a good amount, starting with there. But then you get into that middle section where he starts to introduce the fact that he can sing. Like, he can't like sing with the best of them, but he has soul. He has a little bit of range. He knows how to carry a tune better than that dude in that other country above me that Brooklyn lives in that thinks he knows how to actually put in R&B and singing into fucking hip hop. He used to, he doesn't anymore. J.I.D knows how to do it with soul. And it's like, so I would take an album of him just they call it melodic rap, singing. He's actually singing to me. If he brought an album of just straight singing, I would absolutely love it. I will say, with this album, there is a downturn. Like towards the end, there are songs I'm not too fond of, but I'm not gonna not listen to him just because of how good of a lyricist he is. Like people have compared him to Eminem, but I will say, like, there's a point in Eminem's career where that's why people made fun of the rapping, snapping, of the laughing, capping, laughing. Like, J.I.D can do that, but J.I.D does that with substance at all times. Like, everything you hear from him makes sense. And it is just, he is my favorite new artist out, period. He is a guy, when he drops something, he's dropping a new album soon. And again, I'll be honest, his new single Work, the chorus is a little bit more of the times I'm like, okay, this is okay. But then once he starts rapping and you start hearing the intricacies and the connections he brings from Atlanta and New York, your mind is blown when you listen to this dude. And I'm like, yeah, he's the guy I'm going to be listening to from this era. From here on out, I need him to get much bigger than he actually is, because people know who he is. But I still, because he's on J. Cole's Dreamville collective label. And if y'all did listen to Adelaide, thank you for reminding me of 2007, the one song he adds on the extended version. I said, yo, just listen to 2007. It's a long song, but it's a storytelling song about how he came up, how he met Cole, having he also does the whole again, if y'all listen to this album, you know what I'm talking about. He does a lot of the monologues from different people in a lot of songs as well. So like in 2007, bringing in J. Cole to kind of describe their first experience together. I absolutely really, really dig this album a lot. I'm not sure if it's my favorite album from him. It's close, but it definitely has a lot of my favorite songs from him. And it's just a guy that I want people to know who J.I.D is, because he is when people say I don't listen to new hip hop, he's the first person I say, listen to J.I.D right now. You will absolutely love this dude.
Who's heard this album before?
Yeah, you got it in.
I've heard of the artist, but not the album.
Okay.
Worked the show.
Yeah, that's
Nice.
my only intro is the name. That's it.
Okay. So because I'm the only person who's listened to this album before, I'm going to start. This is one of the best hip hop albums of this century, of this decade, I meant. But it could be in the century. I got to actually think about that. But definitely this decade so far. I am so happy that we're pivoting back to rappers with like personality and just an attack on the mic. Because with like him, Kendrick, Doechii, like it's finally like, yeah, storytelling, personality, like actually intricate rhymes. It's like, this is what I want. He is just a fucking hell of a storyteller. Like the second half of Crack Sandwich, where he's talking about just like this fight that breaks out after he graduates and the way it spills out onto the street, and it just builds the camaraderie between him and his siblings. It's so detailed and incredibly well written. It's one of my favorite verses of this decade. I was so happy to see surround sound crack like the Billboard Top 100. I was like, yes, let's go. This song should be a hit. And then it faltered in like the middle of like the chart and just like fell off. And I was so disappointed by that because that hook fucking slaps. And the production on this is really, really tight. I love first of all, he was a defensive back when he played football, I believe.
Yes, he was a DB.
Yeah,
yeah.
2000
So,
he said he played corner.
Yeah, and his recent album rollout right now. So he did a prelux to God Does Like Ugly with 4 songs, and what he did was he basically at least on Twitter, he probably did it on TikTok too. He put the songs, the prelux songs that didn't make his new album, and he did it as background music to his DB highlights. And you can like go see his DB his defensive back highlights. That's how he's like releasing the pre-release to the album.
That's amazing, and I need to watch that the moment that I can.
Wants to watch this now.
Yeah, right. But I love the use of the flags in Radar, like especially after that one line, like the second time about the one line with the cops. Like the use of it after that was such a great move. Plus, I picked up on like all of the. Like the Testaverde line about 16. Yeah, man, this is. Oh, and the production on songs like Stars and Just in Time, even though I think that's kind of where the weak spot of the album is that little stretch between Can't Make You Change and Just in Time. That's like the only area that isn't as strong as the rest of the album, especially Wayne. I'm sorry, Wayne's getting kind of lapped by his own people that he influenced. But yeah, no, man, this album, just like from the different styles that he's going throughout, and the soulfulness of that hook on Cody Blue 31. Oh, it's one of my favorite albums of the decade. It's one of my top hip hop albums of the decade. This album is just absolutely incredible from beginning to end.
Yeah, and I wanted to bring up because you talked about his production, because I was going to say his production is also kind of mirrors the instrument he uses, his voice. Dance Now, dum dum da dum dum dum.
Yeah,
I love that intro into that song.
The
way he puts everything in together.
The beat for Money, also,
yeah,
they kind of do that.
Yeah, and I think the bar that I just laugh at every time is when that I was looking for, that I wanted to bring up. I stick my dick into her indubitably and shit like that. Just the alliteration he uses in his shit is fucking hilarious and amazing.
Oh yeah, the other lines that I wanted to point out were I'm a normal anomaly. I turned into a rapper ironically, and the other one being I saved it. It was. In Money, for the cheese, rats creeping on your TV screen, selling you dreams, granny buying holy waters off of Joel Osteen. And if you know my opinion on Joel Osteen, but yeah, no, this album's incredible.
I hope no one here has pro Joel Osteen opinions. Let's just get that on the record.
No, even from a church going boy right here. No.
Yeah. No. Screw that, man. You're not going to let people into your church during like a natural disaster. Get out of here.
Have we done the show together 2 or 3 times?
I think this is number 2.
Okay.
This is our second time, I believe.
It's this and then the one music debate we had, where I feel like every time you and I are together, it's me saying like, oh, you know what? I don't really like rap or don't connect with this. But then you find a way to always pick the right thing. And I will say, I think this, more than the other 2 times, I've really felt the genre fighting back. And I think part of it is just like when the album isn't so like character focused. Like I do think J.I.D is like this really great storyteller. Like I think Bar really goes into it. Like It is phenomenal. Beyond just his lyricism, the way that he really paints the universe. Like the note that I basically opened up with is like every single song that you hear some like what the fuck is it called? Like a voicemail. Jesus Christ. Like I feel like the whole thing is like voicemail or audio clips or something.
Like I called him a monologue. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm like, I mean, like every single time, I love hearing about like his childhood and like the universe around him, like his little world. I think that's fantastic. I know I need to give the album another listen because I think a big part of it is just the genre holding it back for me. But every time I sit there and I'm like rereading the lyrics, I'm like thinking about certain songs, like, oh no, I'm liking this more than I remember. I think I have my own like personal like hills to get over, but every single time that I'm sitting there and I'm like really sitting with the stories within the song and the way that, like his connection to his family, the I think it's the end of Can't Make You Change where he's like talking with his sisters. It's like it's like the night of crack sandwich. I didn't write it down well enough.
What is it? Because he does it a couple of times because he talks to his sisters in that, and he talks to his sisters in System Them.
Okay, I think it was Can't Make You Change. Then that's where it really stood out to me. Where it's just like and then again, I didn't pick it for my favorite, but I think 2007 is a necessity for the album. Like ending on that and being like, here's who motivated me. Here's the backstory with my brother, and really just like catapulting it into like this self retrospection. It was really powerful. Like I really loved that insight into him. I think the more we're talking about it, the more that I'm like probably gonna listen to it again after the show is over. Not my favorite album of the night, obviously, just a fucking Ethel Cain. But like I am really shocked just like how powerful the storytelling was.
All right, who next?
I'll go. Why not? I had to laugh when I saw this album come up because it's like the last time Rue and I were on, he brought up Logic's album. So yeah, when I worked at Logic's concert, J.I.D opened for him. So I'm like, we're literally covering everybody that damn night.
Right there. There we go.
Like I'm sitting there, I'm like, okay, I don't remember who like the first opener was. It was some local kid that really was not good. But I remember listening to J.I.D that night, and I remember going, I'm like, this guy has got some incredible flow. There's just something about him. It's funny because we had the one guy who was from the Riggers Union next to me. And he goes to me, he goes, man, this guy could spit, can he? Whitest Italian guy you could ever imagine. He goes, this guy can spit. It was the funniest.
Man, this kid can spit.
I know. It's like I'm like holding in my laughter because we're on comms. I'm like, so, but like, I didn't really like look into him much more after that then because I was like, okay, like yeah, it was a pretty good show. So listening to this album, I'm like, all right, let's see like if this guy can actually spit or not. From what the guy told me, but no, this guy can friggin' rap, man. Like he's got like his wordplay is just incredible to listen to. Like some of the stuff, like you can tell he takes a lot of influences from like the artists who influenced him as a rapper. Like I know like J. Cole was like the big one, but I'm a big 90s guy. So, I mean, there was one point, I think it was on Crack Sandwich. I'm like, this sounds like Mobb Deep for sure. Like I'm getting like Mobb Deep vibes on this one. And I think it was on Better Days, the feature there. I'm like, this reminds me of Faith Evans in a way, kind of like doing a feature right there. So like, there was a lot of stuff that I'm sitting there going, I'm like, I could feel a lot of like the influences of like where he came from coming through to this, not necessarily just from the Atlanta scene where he came from, but just like East Coast. You could feel a little bit of the Dirty South coming in with that too. And then everything really worked. My biggest problem, and I'm probably going to be in the minority here, I felt the production and like the compositions were a little all over the place in a way, to the point where I think it was holding back some of the lyricism and some of the flows, even where it's like especially Money, I thought was like one where I'm like, find the beat, like let's find the musician to me was like kind of getting a little annoyed. I'm like let's try and get onto the beat a little bit more, but it didn't ruin it. I was gonna say, like, as much as like the production I felt was kind of like, there's some good spots and there's some bad spots. I felt like it didn't ruin the songs. It didn't make it to the point where it was unlistenable. Like some of the features were definitely better than the others, but I'm gonna definitely agree. 2007 should have been a feature on, like, a mainstay on this album. For a 7.5-minute song, there wasn't a second wasted on it. I loved every minute of that song. It was so good. But overall, like, this was definitely a solid album. Like, I usually stay away from the newer hip hop, kind of like with you as well. But this is definitely one where I'm like, I love his flow. I love his wordplay. You can definitely feel he's talking from somewhere genuine, and it really shows with how he talks and how he does his wordplay. And the guy can spit. I'll say we'll just put it at that. The guy can spit. I really did enjoy this album a lot.
That one Italian guy was right.
Mamma mia, Tony.
And I won't completely disagree, because there are times for some of his songs where, like, I'll tell you the truth, Radar, I love Radar, but I had to like, okay, what are you doing with this beat real quick? When Radar started,
to start off as like one of the main, after Galaxy Wishes was the intro, but like I'm like, okay, like, this is a little like,
yeah, it's a little off, and then but the more I listen to it, the more I really, really like it, and kind of like I'm more used to J.I.D having that off kilter production where, like, I have to get into it. The songs that I don't have to get into, I'm just straight into. I'm like, oh yes.
There are songs where I'm like, yep, this works, and there are songs I'm like, we're not quite there yet. Let's go, come on. But overall, it didn't make it unlistenable at all.
All right, Rue, you've been on 5 times. I've enjoyed every album. I did not love this one. I will get to the things that I liked. I liked some of the wordplay, and I get where you're coming from in his rap style. He is definitely he's stretching out the beats and kind of going over where people would normally kind of stop and take a breath, and really kind of stretching out what he can. And I did appreciate that, because that is tough to do. Some of the lines that I really liked from Radar: "Mirror, mirror, why the fuck is you laughing? Be a deer, let me volunteer, because I'm not in fear. I'm a jump in the asses." I thought that was really cool, being like, I'm gonna rise up from this, like, no matter what you guys say. "Dance now, you dance with the devil. You'll never dance again." What else? Oh, "Better days. Agitate the white guilt, express the black burden." I'm also in the camp that 2007 is a great closer. That is where I really appreciated his storytelling. "Stars" was really good. Reminded me a lot of Outkast, and even mentions Andre 3000 in the song, which I think that's a trend. I think that's a continued streak. I think in some episodes, like, no matter what album gets presented, there's always some sort of reference to Andre 3000, which is crazy.
Yeah, 3 Stacks gets brought up a lot.
He does. So what I don't like about this, I don't like his voice. It's really like, it's nasally, and it's like, it's kind of monotone. It doesn't really kind of go back and forth. I'm also with Jeff in that the production is kind of all over the place.
That I'll give you.
And here are my things. So the first thing is the use of 808 drums. For the Dungeons and Dragons fans out there, you are basically rolling disadvantage whenever 808 is kind of the head, like the big piece of your production. And I was trying to figure out why, because I've had this take for a while, and here I think I figured out why. Is that what happens is that any melodic elements you have to a song kind of take a back seat, so that when you have that big sort of beat drop with 808 drums, it comes in, and you don't really have a chance to incorporate any melody or any sort of layering. And I've just found that got so overused and so saturated in songs that I don't really enjoy it. And yeah, and then the polyrhythms. We were already saying, like Radar does it. Louder 2 does it, where it takes so long to get to where it kind of needs to be, that I kind of lost momentum with the songs. The thing that I really did like, and what I really want to see more from J.I.D is the R&B elements. I think the R&B moments that we had really did work, and I'll kind of get more into that into my favorite songs. But yeah, it's I get it. It just I don't think it's for me.
That's fine. That's fine. You weren't a fan of Nas's One Love, so I'm just gonna let that go.
What?
hell?
No. Take the words. No, I like Nas's One Love.
He
I was
does love
mad that you took. Oh my God, the one he
One
does
Love
with,
over If I Ruled the World. That
absolutely,
One Love is
yeah.
higher
If I
than
Ruled the World
World.
should, yeah. If I Ruled the World should still be.
Yeah, no, I'm just giving you shit.
Yeah.
I will say that before Barr says what he says, I will say I definitely like the second half of Radar a lot more than the first, production wise, at least for me.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think you're crazy. I love his voice.
Oh yeah, I don't agree with that at all. I think his voice is his best is the best thing he uses because it allows him to have the different flows and the different flows and the wordplay a lot easier. He sticks out to me because of his voice. But hey.
It's so expressive. Like I love you, buddy, but we can disagree on that one.
That's fair.
Yeah. All right, okay. So, Rue, give us your score, your favorite and least favorite song.
So I was going back and forth a lot because out of all the albums I've brought, as much as like I like J.I.D, I like J.I.D much more than I like Logic, but his lows get lower than Logic's lows of albums I listen to. Not because I don't listen to Logic. I take that back. I listen to Ultra 85 and I like that. But when Logic gets low, he gets real low. But of the ones I really, really love, Jid's lower songs to me are songs I would skip quicker than like anything else I brought here. But that doesn't mean anything. It is still a 9.6 to me. It is like at the beginning of the album got it up to about like 9.5, and then that second section got it up to like 9, like back and forth from like 9.4 to 9.6 to 9.8. That third section brought it down, but then again, Adelaide, thank you for reminding me about it because like when Louder 2 comes back in 2007, brought it back up. So what did I say? 9.6 or 9? What did I say?
No, you said 9.6.
9.6.
Yeah, I'll keep it at 9.6. My least favorite song, I will slightly disagree with you, Bar. I think Wayne works on there. Like he's okay. Like he is my most overrated rapper of all time. I don't think he's that great sometimes. But I
kind of agree.
Yeah, his verse there was like, okay, cool. Your punchlines are actually hidden, so I'm right with this. But it was in that section of the album I'm not as fond of. But my least favorite is Money. I just unless you're freaking Nappy Roots and Greg Nice and it's gonna have a good day. I don't like kids on choruses. I just don't. They gotta really, really work. And that chorus is I want to get to the verses every time when I get to Money. Favorite song was Hard But Not. I fucking love System M. I absolutely love it. And the first album I brought here was Music Soul Child's second album, I believe. Just Listen.
Yeah.
There is a song on his first album I just want to sing that I put in the Music League. So at least I know 3 out of the 4 of you heard it before Jeff got in the Music League, called Merry Go Round, which is one of my favorite songs from music. And I learned about 6 months after or a year after the Forever Story came out, the beginning of System M is a sample of Merry Go Round. And my mind was fucking blown.
Oh,
I loved that song in the first place. And hearing Merry Go Round as the beginning of it, I was like, that's why I love it. However, there is nothing just more satisfying than hearing Tell You the Truth, My Sister Never Lost a Fade. Hearing the story of a family just coming together, whooping ass. Crack Sandwich is a fucking masterpiece. Crack Sandwich is utter brilliance. The fact that he the fact that he's going through the story of his family, of how one of his brothers was that good to be a football player, but in class he was on the smart shit, and talking about how the woman, the chick they were fighting. I want to know if that woman remembered getting out of the stall and getting knocked in the face, and then she heard this song and was like, oh fuck, that's about me. I was just pissed. Yeah. And just like the whole story of having his family in there, and like the lines, like my parents were probably ashamed and proud at the same time. Like, I don't know word for word, but that's basically just, I love that fucking song so fucking much. Everything, the production, the lyricism, the storytelling, having his family in at the end of it, and just shouting out his love for 7 bad kids in the caravan. Love Crack Sandwich.
All right, let's go to Brooklyn next.
All right, I'm gonna give this a 5.
God
God,
damn!
I don't think it's bad. There are elements that I love, but the things that I don't like are just like, yeah, it's not for me. And like, I'm sorry, because I try to find things that I love. My favorite is a toss up between like Dance Now, Surround Sound. I'm probably gonna go with, oh man, I'm probably gonna go with Surround Sound. Just because I really like the sample. And that was like, all right, I want to hear more of this and I want to see this sound sort of fleshed out. And it was like the most 90s of the sounds that I probably heard.
I mean, Miss Fat Booty is a 1990s something song, dead in the middle, the song he sampled. So that would be it.
My least favorite is Just in Time. And that's where I came to the realization of this is why I hate 808 drums. Is because of the song.
Okay. Jeff.
I'm not going to be as mean. I'm going to give this a 7.25. This was definitely a solid album. I said there was definitely a lot of good with it, and there was definitely a lot. It was definitely a mixed bag. But when it hit right, it hit really, really well. Favorite song? I'm going to go with you, System M. That was an incredible song. I loved everything about it, and I loved the story in there. Honorable mention to Better Days. I like that one a lot too. Least favorite for me was probably Money. Again, the song was just way too disjointed, and by the time it finally got going, it was like the song's already over at that point. So I was like, this was kind of like where the thing got off. I wanted to put 2007 here, but I wanted to be fair because it was technically a bonus track. But because I was like, I'm gonna play it fair, but 2007, no, I will tell people listen to that song. That song's incredible.
Adelaide.
I think there's a 3-way tie for second. I think I would count 2007 because that's the only way I could listen to the fucking album on Spotify. It has to be there. And I think Crack Sandwich and Can't Make You Change are all like really incredible songs. And then Louder 2, I think is a different level for me. I think that the rhythm he hits and like there's just like every single syllable he hits, there's just like it's kind of magic, like the way that he keeps hitting stuff and nonstop. I think it's really, really phenomenal. And then it hits, and then the ending of like this really like and like this beautiful angelic chorus, and the music all like sort of comes together and coalesces. I think it's like a perfect like ending. I adore that song. Least favorite for me is Cody Blue 31, and that's just because it says "swang on" like 50 billion fucking times. It gets really annoying. Like I think other songs maybe like consistently less good, or the lyricism can be as good. But when a song just like keeps hitting me over the fucking head with the same word over and over, like it's going to lose me every fucking. Overall, I give it a 7. Again, I probably should re-listen to it. It would almost definitely go up. Even just talking about it, it's gone up. So I think it is something that's going to grow on me. I literally messaged Rue. I'm listening to another one of his albums after the show. Like I'm interested in J.I.D. now.
Rue, you and I are in lockstep when it comes to the score. I also have this as a 9.6. I already kind of spoiled how high this would be, considering I said one of the best albums of the decade so far. My favorite song, as much as I think Crack Sandwich has my favorite verse, Surround Sound is just such a banger. Like, it's hard to deny how good that song is. And it makes 21 Savage actually kind of enjoyable. My least favorite, and I hate to say this one, I hate to pick this one because I love Yasin Bey, but Stars is my least favorite one. It's just the one that for some reason seems to deviate from the rest just enough in its quality. It's still good, just not as good as everything else. So yeah. So Brooklyn, what does that bring the Forever Story to?
Adelaide, what did you give it for a score?
7.
Uh,
They gave it a 7.
7 flat, I think it was.
Seven flat. Okay. Plus 7 divided by 5. 7.69.
Nice.
Nah.
Nice.
And that puts it top 15.
Top 15?
Yeah, top 15. Top 15 for this season.
Okay. Okay. It should be higher, but okay. Okay.
I get it. I'm just a grumpy old
No.
curmudgeon.
It's not just you. All right. Let's talk about my album, Sex, Death, and the Infinite Void by Creeper. I'm going to start with the question, actually. Has anyone heard this album before?
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
I had not.
Oh.
I knew Paradise, I knew Napalm Girls, and I knew Cyanide. I did not know any of the other songs from this album, but I loved those 3 songs so much that I wanted to hear the rest of the album. And so this album is a concept album. It's a story album about a unspecified gendered person named No arriving in the town of Calvary Falls. Roe. And Roe basically comes to this town prophesizing the utter destruction of the town in 7 days by God. It's not clear if Roe is an angel. Odds are that they're a fallen angel. And they fall in love with the gothic Annabelle, who has who is engaged to an abusive ex by the name of Buddy Calvary. Roe unfortunately falls into drugs and alcohol, therefore making them more human. And on the 7th day, Buddy Calvary actually shoots Roe. It's not clear if the town actually survives after that. They kind of leave that open-ended. I listened to this album having already loved the 3 songs I heard before, and this album slowly started to become one of my favorite albums. I loved the gothic theatricality of this album. It is, and I'm going to say this before I think either Brooklyn or Jeff say this, it is kind of a Coke Zero version of Bat Out of Hell, but Coke Zero is still an S-tier soda. Yes, it is.
Is it though?
Oh, you're wrong a little bit on that one.
High B for Coke Zero. It's nothing will match Coke, but go on.
Diet Coke also sucks, on the record. Like, there are no good alternatives.
We can get into that after the show is over. Like, I love Chess. First of all, I had his name in my notes, and I got rid of my notes. Will Gould's voice, his range is absolutely crazy. Like, yeah, I was expecting the higher notes, but then when he gets into his lower range on songs like 4 years ago, like, you really see the scope of how his voice is an instrument. It is crazy. I love, like, the kind of cabaret-ness of Cyanide, the glam rock kind of T-Rex little sprinkles in there. I think from Cyanide through to Napalm Girls is such a fantastic run of songs. I will say there are 2 songs on this album that I don't think are quite the quality of the rest of them, those being Born Cold and Black Moon. But I want to see a stage version of this because it does also kind of have Rocky Horror vibes to it. Yeah, I would love to see like either like a stage version of this album or like a on like film version of this, because this thing was crazy good to me. But I want to hear everyone else's opinions because I'm sure that I'm a lot higher on this.
I'll get this out the way now. Sorry, Bar.
Damn.
Nah, man. Not for me. I will say this, which I think is hilarious. I hear people shit on Fall Out Boy and freaking sometimes what the fuck is
Panic at the
I'm getting
Disco.
old. Panic, thank you. Panic was the one. I love Panic, but like especially Fall Out Boy though. And Imagine Dragons as like just not great or whatever, or just too like thin, poppy, just not
Vanilla.
great. Vanilla. When I listen to them, I like them. Listening to this album, I'm like, is this what they think? Because
Damn.
I listened to it and one was not expecting Sex, Death, and the Infinite Void by Creeper. This was not the album I was expecting. I was not expecting pop rock alternative. I wasn't expecting the kind of freaking Fall Out Boy like kind of music.
Well, the
Were you
album
also
before
thinking
this
it'd be
was a
another
lot
Manson
heavier.
album?
I was thinking more rock. Yes, I was thinking way more like harder rock than this.
The album previous to this by them is a lot harder. This
A lot
this
more
is
punk
more
rock
glam.
than definitely.
Yeah. I will give you this. The more I dug into it, the more I gave. I was like, okay, it's not as bad. But like my first run through it, I was like, this cookie cutter 2000s pop that I don't listen to for shit. What is happening here? I'm sorry, man. This is not. I can't get into it. But I listened to a couple of songs again, and I was like, all right, no, this is a little better. I'm gonna just leave it. Not for me, man. I'm not into. I need a little bit more. I need a little bit more soul. I feel like Fall Out Boy has a little bit more soul, and I don't mean like you don't have soul at all. I mean, just to be honest, I need a little bit more soul.
Yeah, I get you.
So
it's also one of those things where like I'm not surprised because we've talked before about musicals in general and how they're not really your thing.
Mm-hmm.
And so it kind of makes sense considering this album's theatricality.
But again, like there were when I ran through it the second time, I'm gonna leave off on this. I felt it more. I was like, I'm starting to hear, because there is definitely a song on there that I connected to and loved, and I'll bring it up. I was like, yeah, this is it. And then I was like, let me listen to a couple more, and then a couple more that I gave, like I kind of wrote off. I was like, actually, no, this is not as bad as I thought. Not bad, because it's not bad, but it's not as like not me as I thought originally. But yeah, still not me. Not for me.
Okay.
I'll go next. So my brother was home for a wedding, and we were driving in the car, and I decided to throw on music, and he saw that I had listened to this album previously, and he was like, "Oh, you listen to The Creeper? Or you listen to Creeper? Fuck yeah, I love them." So you get points there automatically for getting my brother and I to connect on music, because I noticed that he's starting to get a little more metal, loves baby metal, but we bond there. The influences of this band are definitely kind of on its sleeve. The ones that I had, My Chemical Romance, The Struts, especially Queen, and then the one that made me be like, all right, this is why Andrew picked this album, is Mariana's Trench. There's one song in particular that they really kind of get like the same sort of vocal presence. But you're absolutely right though. This screams of Meatloaf. And just in the storytelling and the duality of vocalists. One slight little nitpick. I know there's kind of like been this debate on like sketches or skits and like kind of like spoken word stuff, and like, do we include them as part of the track or do we keep them separate? This is an instance where it's like, why is its own individual track listing? Like a couple of them are like 30 seconds long. So it's like, why?
Because the Internet by Childish Gambino, the first track is a 4-second clip. So
yeah. So it's like why are we doing this? This album is pretty short as it is. I did like how it used the spoken word aspect as the closer. I thought that was a really cool way to end it. There is one other big influence on the song, but I'll leave that towards the end. But yeah, like Annabelle has a really nice sort of like resolve in the pre-chorus. Paradise has the gradual descent. I really dug 4 years ago. It was just the right kind of like right amount of kind of like gloomy, where it's kind of like talking about like a breakup and whatnot. Napalm Girls was great. That was kind of one of the more singly sort of ones. I think my only thing would be the arrangement of the tracks, in particular, Born Cold. I think this album might do better if it's like later on, and I'll get to that in a bit.
I do want to bring up, you brought up a lot of influences that you found in here. I want to bring one up that the band has brought up, and I think 4 years ago is actually the song that's most influenced by this artist. And that's Roy Orbison.
Yep.
Oh fuck yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, which is crazy. Like the moment I read that, it immediately clicked in my head. I was like, that's awesome.
So I know this album. This was during the COVID era, and I remember when I was one of those like essential workers because I was a janitor and everything.
Same.
So yeah, lame. So I would listen to a lot of music at the time. So I remember around this point, I remember I was listening to like Spanish love songs, Brave Faces, Everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you know, you know. And then I remember listening to this album because somebody posted online about how this album was really good. So I'm like, all right, let's give this a listen. I had so much fun with this album. It's one of the easiest listens, I think, of the night for sure. 30 some minutes, it goes quick, and you can this was a band I always like when I described it to people. Think of the Misfits if they're a little more mainstream and more approachable. It would be like the best way to kind of look at it. And it's like, I guess looking with their previous albums, like they had more of like a punk rock influence. And when I looked at it more, I'm like, yep, definitely was a lot more punk rock oriented, like Alkaline Trio, AFI for sure was definitely some of the bands I caught on. With this album, they definitely went more of like the new wave Britpop. Like I heard a lot of like The Cure and Bowie, Depeche Mode. And I think I was saying, and it's funny you mentioned Roy Orbison because I think it was on Black Moon. I said, this reminds me of Roy Orbison meets Bobby Darin in a way, because it's like, it just felt like that, like sort of like classic lounge singer kind of vibe to it. But a lot of the songs are just, they're so easy to listen to and get into toe tapping. Where they kind of fall short though is, again, it's like, there's sometimes where I'm like, the verses are shining more than the chorus should. And I feel like it needs to be reversed. Some of the choruses really do shine, but compositionally, it just seems it's like, I think you needed like one more rewrite of this. And I think they were more focused on trying to tell a grander story and letting the music kind of fall just a little bit by the wayside in a way. But there were so many songs on here that stood out. I mean, Be My End is really, really friggin' good. Cyanide for me was never like the biggest one for me. I know that was like one of the big segments, but I'm like, this one just was okay. But like Poison Heart, I remember listening, I'm going like, this sounds like Nick Cave in a way. Like I definitely got like vibes from him.
Ooh, no, don't say that around Amaru.
You said Mariana's Trench and you said Nick Cave. Exactly why I don't like this shit.
No, the score is going lower for him with every mention.
What's the problem with Mariana's Trench? Where did this hatred come from?
It's just not for me. It's just not for me.
Astoria is such a fucking good album, though.
Debatable, but we'll talk.
Yes, debatable.
Yeah, but some of the interludes, definitely can get kind of like all right, like we're getting a little goofy here, but I where it lost it at the end though. I mean, it's like you're building up to your climax. I'm like, all right, here we go. We're gonna finally get it. And I felt like it just kind of went down a little bit in a way. Like oh, you had it there, but you just lost it. But
my first listen, I agree with you. And then like as I kept listening to All My Friends, I don't know, it worked for me, especially in terms of the story.
I remember writing here. I'm like, it was an interesting choice for the close it with. It was story wise really good. I get why you did it, but musically, it just fell kind of short in a way where I'm like, this just didn't work as a closer on its own. And that's where it's like you kind of have to look. It's like, am I looking at this more from the story aspect or from the music aspect? And from the story aspect, great. from the music aspect, a little weak, and that's where it was kind of like, but I do like how it closes with more careful with your heart. That's fine, but overall, I'd say this is definitely a very approachable album. This is one I think people can definitely get into and find something they can find to listen to as like a good toe tapper any point throughout this album. There's a lot of good to like, a lot of good new wave influences, and a lot of good sounds sonically overall. So solid album. I always liked it.
Okay.
This is the last one I listened to, so I don't have a whole lot of notes on it, unfortunately. I do like it though. I am a big fan. I will say I was going back. Like I think the most I have for notes is just going back and forth between a few favorite songs. Like I crammed this in before this final show because it took me so fucking long to listen to Marilyn Manson. Like holy shit, it was a struggle.
You're welcome.
But I am like genuinely so happy, like very pleasantly surprised by the music that I did listen to because I was like, oh shit, is this like? To me, this was either like screamo or like tech metal was like the vibe I was preparing for, and like again, probably because I grew up with Paramore and Fall Out Boy and shitty ass Brendan Urie, and I liked this. I did really enjoy it better than Imagine Dragons. That is the bar, and we super exceeded that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I have nothing added. It's good. End of review.
Adelaide, I think that you need to listen to this just one more time because, as I said, the Rocky Horror Picture Show
I didn't hear the concept album and I was like, oh, you know what? This is fun vibes. Like, I enjoy it. No, head empty.
Re-listen to it knowing the actual story. I think you in particular would really dig this album a lot more on second listen. Okay. So any last thoughts before we move on? Because okay. I don't care what anyone else says. This is getting a 9.5 from me. The more I listened to this album, the more I just really bought into the camp and the glam rock aspect of it. And just, once again, Will Gould's absolutely incredible voice. I'm going to start with my least favorite because that was so much easier for me to pick. I'm going to pick Black Moon. Not that it's bad. It's just with like that one and with Born Cold, they're just kind of not on the same level of the rest of the songs for me. Favorite was fucking hard to pick. I switched it like 3 times. Because with Paradise, I love that fucking sax solo. Be My End's got that incredible chorus and the pre-chorus about when the sun comes up, we vanish like vampires. But the one that I'm going to go with is Poisoned Heart, because that's just like the best amalgamation of everything. And that chorus in particular, I want to sing it so bad, but his range is, he's going so far out of my range on that one, I can't. Yeah, I know that not everyone's going to give it as high of a score, but I need to get the vinyl of this as soon as I can. Let's go to... I'm going to start off strong. Let's go to Jeff.
I was gonna go to the other one. I'm agrees with you. This gets an 8 out of 10. Solid 8 for me. I loved a lot of the influences on this album. It was definitely all over the place, and it works in a lot of spots. Not so strong in some others, but overall, favorite song for me, it was a toss-up for me. Be My End, I think, is really strong, but Thorns of Love, I think, is really underrated. It has like that fun, like 50s doo-wop vibe in a way, and I always really enjoyed that one. Least favorite, I mean, I gotta go with Napalm Girls. Like that to me was just such a like for it to be the climax of the album sonically and story wise, it just felt flat in my eyes, and I was like it just was a bit of a letdown to sound kind of fillery. So, but overall, solid album. I would recommend it for sure for anybody. It's a quick listen. It's easy to listen.
Okay, Adelaide, real quick, just like before you go.
I got a dip real quick. 7.6. I did really enjoy this. Favorite song is also Thorns of Love. I'll back up what Jeff said. I think that it's just like it's absolutely the right vibe. I think the end of the song, especially like kind of like what I said with the J.I.D song, I think it all just like coalesces into something like really interesting. My least favorite is Be More Careful With Your Heart, just because it's kind of like offering the least musically. But I think it's kind of a cold take. I think again everything else, like the actual music on the album, really works well for me. I'm so sorry I have to run.
All right.
Yeah, you're good.
All right, see ya.
So Rue, let's go to you.
So when I started off listening to this, I was like, this is going to be under a 5. Like, this is definitely going to be under a 5. But again, I told you that it actually, like, I listened to it more. I gave it more of a chance. I'm going to give it a 6.
Okay.
Give it a 6. Yeah, not as low as like I make it sound. Like, because I respect what it was. It's not like Mariana's Trench is way below this for me. Like, I remember what I felt with that album, and I gave no shits about that. This one, I actually, at least, even though it wasn't for me, I was able to grow on some of it. My least favorite, because it's what gave me that vibe of like, oh man, this is not going to be for me, is, oh shit, you just said it and I lost it. Be My End. I heard that. I was like, no, I'm okay. But the song that I absolutely loved, particularly in the point of the chorus where they go into a deep register, is Cyanide. I was like, oh yes, okay, cool. This is good. I like this. I like this a lot. So Cyanide was pretty dope.
I'm not gonna lie, that's the one I thought you were going to pick as your least favorite. That surprised me.
Cyanide. Really like Cyanide.
All right, Brooklyn.
Rue, you said 6.5?
6.
You said 6? Okay. Okay. All right. I'm going to give this a 9. I really liked it. Like all the influences that I mentioned, they're all bands that I love. And like there's a lot of singles off of here that I think I can go back to. So I think I will enjoy it. I'll start with least favorite. I was alluding to it earlier. It is Born Cold. And the thing that I'll say, and actually I think that links a lot of these albums together, is that all these albums at some point are trying to have this kind of like slower melody, almost ballad level, but they have these like still upbeat drums that kind of keep the life of it. Born Cold is the only example that like it doesn't like entirely work. And when I was alluding to this, like why this is second, I think this would work better as like a later half on the album. But I get like because it's a concept, it's kind of tough to do that. My favorite. Although Be My End is probably the one that I would love to hear live, I think that one would crush it. Rue, you we're on the same page. Cyanide, hands down, my favorite. And the influence here that I thought worked really well is like Paul McCartney, like Revolver era Beatles. And maybe I'm getting the wrong album, but just that like piano heavy, like the kind of the slight roughness in the voice. And just how the piano fits in the chorus just works so well. And yeah, that's one that I'm going to go back to. That's going to be probably in my on repeat for a while. But yeah, I had a good time with it. Oh, and then average is going to be crap. Oh my God.
The math ain't mathin'.
The numbers are just gone.
40.5 divided by 5 equals 8.1.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah,
okay.
8.1. So that puts you in just outside of the top 10.
Okay, I'll take that though. All right, let's move on to the final album of the night. Brooklyn, tell us about Honest Man.
All right, so probably the most vanilla album that we're talking about today. It is very like blues, soul, gospel, a little bit of funk, a little bit of R&B. But story time with Matt Andersen. Matt Andersen is from New Brunswick. And if you are not familiar with Canadian geography, where I am from, New Brunswick is the neighboring province. So it's like a 3-hour drive basically to where he's from. How I came about to Matt Andersen was if you've ever heard me talking about Joel Plaskett. He's kind of a revered artist in this area. Matt Andersen kind of toured a lot of the same festivals that Joel did. And he kind of became like a kind of a household name for like indie blues sort of rock. He did a ton of festivals. He was often paired up with J.P. Cormier. And he has just this incredible voice, and something that doesn't really get highlighted on this album is that he's an incredible guitar player. The time that the only time I got to see him live was kind of unintentional. We had went to go see Jason Isbell, who was supposed to be playing at Harvest Blues Festival. We were driving there, and about an hour before we got to the destination, we got an email saying that Jason had gotten sick and wasn't able to perform. So they called Matt Andersen that afternoon. He flew from Ottawa to Fredericton, which is like a 2.5-hour flight. He flies to Fredericton, plays a show just by himself and the guitar, and rocks the place. Like there's like 150 people there, and he fills the room just by himself. So like if you ever get the opportunity to see him live, really go see him, because he has such an incredible voice and he has such a presence about him. And also with Music League, I brought him up with The Other Side of Goodbye, a song not on this album, but an incredibly heartfelt song about like this really hard breakup. And I was talking with Andrew about it. And with that song, Andrew was like, he's kind of going too hard, or like there's not much a dynamic. And I was like, okay, I get that. So I kind of wanted to do an experiment. So that's why I did this album, because the other song that I had been considering to submit from Matt Andersen was the title track from this one, Honest Man. The thing that I really liked about this album in general is that he gets pretty vulnerable with his lyrics, especially when you get into like I'm Giving In, All the Way, The Gift, Last Surrender. And it's like I was mentioning kind of all the genres that he hits. But the influences you kind of hear, like Jack Johnson from Breakaway, especially that kind of upbeat bass line with kind of the mellow, softer vocals. Eric Clapton, Bill Withers, and like Otis Redding in particular. Honest Man in particular is probably the most like fleshed out of it, has a really nice sort of groove to it with the horns, and then you get kind of the call and answer vocals of like Who's Got Time for an Honest Man, and I think that one's kind of about like the music business, or that's what I kind of gathered from the lyrics. Sounds like a manager or like somebody in the industry was kind of screwing him over. But then you get into like the Gift, which is kind of like this nice like upbeat song of like, like the gift of life is all we need, and like it gets kind of repetitive there, but I get it. Quiet Company is this nice sort of like peaceful sort of country song. All the Way is kind of gets back into those funk roots. There's a lot of wah on the guitar, and that was really cool. I also like the 1-2 of like Who Are You Listening To and One Good Song. I thought that was a really good closer. The one gripe that I kind of have, and it's more so with just Honest Man in particular, and it's kind of like that there's a decision in there that kind of reflects the whole album. If somebody was to be like, he kind of stays in his pocket, he doesn't really go too far out of it. Like, yeah, you kind of have a point. Like, he doesn't really kind of stretch his range, although he is like dynamically kind of changing it. In particular, in Honest Man, he does a key change for like 10 seconds, and it's like, and he goes back to where he was, and it's like, I want to hear a version where they stick with that key change, because I think he could have done some like really interesting things with it. But yeah, like I always try to do on the show, I'm just trying to like highlight Canadian artists, especially like from my neck of the woods, just so that they can kind of get some exposure to people who maybe not have heard of them before. I'm curious as to what everyone thinks. I think it should go well with everybody, but you never know.
I'm going to read Adelaide's notes that they left me first.
Okay.
This feels like a mix of Uncle Kracker and Jack Johnson, so fun, chill vibes that hit well but keep me relaxed. This is what I imagine plays at the cool, independent coffee places in the South. And they were really enjoying the funk influences on All the Way. Anyone want to go first on this one?
Yeah, sure. Why not?
Okay, right.
Yeah. So I love hearing, artist I never heard about. I said at first I thought this was somebody who was a Martin player. I was never somebody who worked at Martin Guitar. We get highlights of a lot of people who play our brands, and at first I'm like, I know this name, but it was somebody completely different. So I was a little bummed in that regard, but this album was smooth. Like, it was just so smooth to listen to. He has a really good voice, and he's like, the guitar work is really good. I wanted more of the horns. I said Brooklyn. I was just like, more horn players. So we get. So I definitely wanted more of those horns. Like, I thought Breakaway. Like when it first started out with that, I'm like Bob. I'm like, yeah, this is gonna be an album. Like I'm gonna find myself just like really vibing with for sure. I'll say Honest Man. I'll say good horn lines. I'll say everything just really complemented well on it. Quiet Company just had like this warmth to it, and I'm like, this just feels like I'm sipping on like a nice bourbon right now. It just feels like it's so smooth right now. All the way, I wanted those harmonies more. Like I'm like, give me more of those harmonies that I'm hearing. And then Last Surrender had like a really good, just overall like guitar tone to it. The horns were good. The sax solo on that one, perfect. All around, I'm like, yeah, like this is like a really solid album. But like how you said, like he kind of stays in that pocket. I found myself, I'm like, there's a lot of songs that kind of border on like, are you going to tell the difference between Honest Man versus Let's Go Back or All the Way? Like they kind of like form into like there's not a ton of differentiation. And it's like I know he can definitely showcase a lot more in that regards, but that's also good too. You know where your lane is and you stay in it really well. But it's like you need just a little bit more distinction for you to just really, really stand out. But overall, this was a solid album. This is something I can definitely put on again, drive and just listen to it and just kind of just feel at peace in a way, because it was so smooth to listen to. So solid choice. I love this album.
Yeah, I'm really happy you two went before me, because I was trying to find the words to explain how I felt about it, and both of you kind of summed it all up. Before I do that, I forgot to mention with Creeper, they were my drive home. Like the entire time, it was so quick. It was my drive home from the gym. Matt Andersen was back day, so a shorter day. It was right before I listened to Forever Story. So like that he got me through that before getting into J.I.D. I like this album. I like it a lot. It's really solid. Funny thing was, I was going to use a different word, but now the word you use perfectly. Which is also hilarious. He is when I was listening to it, he reminded me of a vanilla Michael McDonald. That's who I thought of at first. Like the voice and the funk and the soul. And like I could hear some of the country influences. But I was like, there's something missing. I don't know what that is, but he's right there where I'm loving the funk beat music and I love his voice. But that step, it's like him, and then you get Teddy Swims. And Teddy Swims, you're like, oh my gosh, dude. That you were singing from here. Matt Andersen is like, dude, you're singing from here. But I think it's what you mentioned, Jeff. Like you can't differentiate one song from the next to the next to the next, and it's all just one big, long, smooth ass vibe that I enjoyed a lot. But as I was listening, I was like, why does it feel like there's just there's this little thing missing that doesn't like fully really get me into him as much as I really, really want to?
I'm going to be the lowest person on this album.
Really?
Yeah.
I was actually kind of shocked.
It's not bad. It's good. It's good. It's going to get a positive score from me. But I couldn't help thinking to myself, man, he really, really wants to be Joe Cocker and Bobby Caldwell.
I see the Joe Cocker. I absolutely see the Joe Cocker.
Okay.
Yeah. Like he's trying so hard to emulate those two. And I kind of agree with Adelaide. I also picked up a little bit of Jack Johnson in like the laid backness to it. But man, some of these lyrics just did not connect with me. It kind of was like, hey girl, look, I'm really good. I'm a good guy. You should lay down with me. But first I'm going to drop some knowledge on you. And I'm like, like there's my least favorite song is the absolute like cringe of just like the surface levelness of the lyrics, which I'll get to later. He's a hell of a vocalist. He's a fantastic singer. I'll give you that. But the thing I think that killed the album the most is the production and how stiff it kind of is. Yeah. I think that the production is too clustered. It's too muddled to have that loose, laid-back vibe that would really, really bump this up.
Which is a shame because like when if you ever get to see him live, especially by himself, he is one of the most chaotic blues guitar players you'll ever see. Like hair flying around constantly, like going up and down the neck all the time, and it's just like it's such a shock to see that live performance, and then this being like, all right, it's like it's safe.
Yeah, because the biggest example of that in particular, which I believe you that he's an incredible guitarist, but that guitar solo on Who Are You Listening To should be soaring in the production, but it's covered, it's smothered by the bass and the drums for some reason. And I think that that's just the absolute worst thing for a soul-based album is for a smothering style of production. He's somebody who I think absolutely would work for me live, but this album in particular just didn't hit the way that it probably should have. And that's my final thoughts on this. Anyone else have any final thoughts? Okay. So, Brooklyn, I'm going to give Adelaide's stuff first since they're not here.
Okay.
They're giving it a 6.7. Their favorite song is All the Way, and their least favorite song was Quiet Company. So, Brooklyn, give us your final thoughts on this.
Okay. I'm gonna give this an 8.2. I think it's good. But like I was alluding to, there's elements of Matt Andersen in general that I would love to hear more. I'd like to see him kind of take more risks. He does have a couple more albums after this. I think the most recent one he put out was like 2022, or maybe even last year. And from what I've heard from there, I really liked. My favorite is probably going to be Let's Get Back. I really liked the trumpet solo in it. I really like the ending. I feel like we're kind of building to that end, and that's when he really kind of gets to kind of explode. My least favorite is unfortunately Last Surrender. For any Eagles fans out there, or for any Christmas loving fans out there, if you listen to this song, it's borderline plagiarism.
I knew I recognized that somewhere.
Please come home for Christmas. Like melody and chord arrangement in general, I was like, oh no, I can't hear the song without singing Please Come Home for Christmas as well. And it's a shame because I don't want to accuse the guy of plagiarism. But yeah, it was a weird parallel.
I'm not gonna lie, I was listening to that and I was like, I can hear the melody of the other song that this reminds me of, and it was driving me absolutely crazy. Now that you said that, my head hurts. So, man, do I bump it up a little bit? Yeah, I'll bump it up a little bit. I'm gonna give it a 6.25.
What'd you say again?
6.25.
Okay.
I I'm not gonna lie. Going into it, I wanted to like it more because you sent me Honest Man before, and I kind of dug Honest Man. It's just the flaws on it were just kind of glaring to me, and I couldn't get past that glare. My favorite song is actually the opposite of Adelaide's. My favorite song was Quiet Company. That song, there's a tenderness to it that was really. It came from it felt like it came from a very genuine place, and it was kind of romantic. God, my least favorite song was The Gift. The Gift was just, it felt so surface level, and it felt like those inspirational posters that women have in their cubicle of you got this, you every day is a gift, it's a beautiful day, and I'm just yeah, I couldn't do it, I'm sorry. Let's go to Rue.
So it was really close between this and Ethel Cain for my favorite listen. This edged it out. I know I'm going ahead of the game or whatever, but I'm giving this a 7.8. But I'm with you, Bar. Safe. It was very safe. Everything. While I felt a lot of it and enjoyed a lot of it, the lyrics were real safe. The production ended up being real safe. And I guess that's the missing piece that I was man, I can hear the greatness in this, but there's something I'm just not getting. My least favorite song, I was having trouble figuring out my least favorite song. But I think, Bar, you just did it for me, because I was going to go with I'm Giving In because it was slower. And I was all right, I'm not, again, doing the slower songs during the gym might be influencing what the fuck I'm doing. But you hit it. Every time I went back to The Gift, I was all right, dude. All right. So that'll probably end up being my favorite. But also, I am with you, Brooklyn. Let's Get Back was also my favorite. Just that intro, the beat coming in the intro was really good. And I really like the chorus and what he was talking about there. So,
all right, Jeff, close it out.
All right, so I'm gonna say this was up there with Ethel Cain, I thought, with me. So this is gonna get a solid 8 out of 10 from me.
Yeah.
This was a really solid album. Yeah, it's safe. Safe can be good, but again, it's like you just need one more push to really send this thing home and really get it going. Favorite song, man, it was tough to pick. I mean, I do like Last Surrender. I mean, I do like my Eagles, but but I think I'm gonna have to go with All the Way. I thought that was probably the strongest one on the album for sure. Least favorite, I was gonna say I'm Giving In, but Bar, you tricked me. It is The Gift. I mean, I remember putting on there. I'm the lyrics are just so basic for this. I'm like the flow and the arrangement were good, but it's being held back by the basic first draft songwriting in a way for me. But
it's the Stanley mug of the album.
Yes, it really is. I was because I was leaning toward I'm Giving In because I'm it just felt the most out of place in a way, but the vocals saved that song in a way more than that. I couldn't say it's the worst one, but yeah, The Gift, that just has some goofy lyricism going on. But overall, this is still a really, really solid album.
All right, what's that bring that to?
Average score of 7.39 for this season. Currently, number 20.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, I'll take that. Considering where a lot of my Canadian albums usually end up, this is far and above where it was. I thought it was going to end.
Where is this versus Stunt? I'm very curious.
Stunt is currently number 27, and this is number 5.
Wow. Okay.
Because people didn't like Stephen Page's vocals, and I think that is batshit insane.
Yeah, they're wrong. I agree with you on that one, Brooklyn. The Stunt should be higher. All right, so let's close this out. Adelaide will unfortunately not be able to do this with us, but I need everyone's favorite album brought by somebody else. I don't think we're going to have any inductions into the Turntable Hall of Fame with this one. But let's start with Rue.
I said it already. It was very close, but I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go Honest Man. Honest Man was definitely my favorite listen out of everything here that was presented. So yeah, eclectic group is correct.
Let's. You know what? I'm gonna go next. Because it's obvious for me. It's the Forever Story. As I said, one of the best albums of the decade so far, in my opinion. Jeff, let's go to you.
You know, I love when I'm proved wrong a lot musically. It cannot be understated how much I was shocked by Preacher's Daughter and how I thought this album was really freaking good because I hate these cellular singers, but this was one that gives me hope. So, you know what? Preacher's Daughter, give it a listen. This actually really was good.
All right, Brooklyn, close it out.
So before we started recording, I had no idea what was going to be my favorite. I usually have a pretty good idea of what mine is going to be, but I was torn between two. For Sex, Death, and the Infinite Void, while it has the better singles, and while it's generally a song that I like, or generally a sound that I like, in terms of like an album start to finish, it has to be The Preacher's Daughter. I really enjoyed it front to back. That continuous sound really works, and then when it needs to change up, it does, and it's effective.
Okay. Well, that brings us to the end of this episode. We do have the albums and the panel for the next episode. The panel is going to include Tim Berkala, Mike Hanley, and Nazario Montenegro. The Video Store Boys are going to be on. This is going to be absolute chaos, but
yes,
I'm ready
chaos
for
is a
those
word.
albums.
Well, here are your albums. The albums are There's a Whole World Out There by Arm's Length, Sports by Huey Lewis and the News, Sleeping with Ghosts by Placebo, The Lost Boys soundtrack, and Germ-Free Adolescence by X-Ray Specs. So a very rock-heavy episode, y'all. But for Adelaide, for Amaru, for Jeff, Brooklyn, and myself, Andrew, thank y'all for watching. We appreciate you tuning in. Hopefully you found something really good through this episode.
Also, make sure to keep watching Rue's Top 100. When this comes out, I think we'll be at like sub top 50 at that point.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah, it should be.
Yeah, it'll be like towards actually this may be like towards the top 20 when this one comes out.
When is this coming out? Why me stuff right now?
August
1st.
Yeah.
Keyboard warriors, get ready. Fact check now.
We'll be in the top 20.
Yeah,
we should be in the top 20. If not, it's right outside the top 20. But yeah, we should be in the top 20.
So watch. They're doing a great job. I've seen every episode, and they're doing an amazing job.
Hell yeah.
All right, but with that, keep on rocking.
Keep on rocking.